Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into a really important book, Race After Technology, by the sociologist Ruha Benjamin. We're going to unpack how racial bias can get baked right into the very code that, well, shapes our entire world. So, we tend to think of our phones and our apps as just tools. Totally impartial, right? I mean, an algorithm is just math, and how can math be biased? But what if that's not really the full picture? Let's kick things off with a pretty simple search. Okay, so a few years back, when people typed these phrases into Google, this is what came up. The results, well, they weren't just showing random pictures. They were reflecting and honestly amplifying some of our society's most dangerous stereotypes. You've got black criminality on one side and white innocence on the other. Do we chalk that up to a coincidence, or is there something much deeper going on here? Now, it's super easy to write these things off as, just glitches in the system. Things like webcams that just can't seem to see darker skin tones, or even those automatic soap dispensers that won't work for black hands. But when you start seeing this pattern over and over again, you really have to start asking yourself, are these just random mistakes? And this is where Ruha Benjamin's core argument comes in. She says these aren't bugs, they are features. Features of a system that's been designed, whether on purpose or not, with a very specific default user in mind. And that means these biases, they're literally built into the architecture of the world we live in today. So Benjamin gives this whole phenomenon a really powerful name. It's one that connects it directly to a very painful chapter in American history, and it gives us a brand new way to think about discrimination in our digital age. And she calls it the new Jim Code. At its heart, it's a system where racial discrimination basically gets automated. It gets wrapped up in this shiny, seemingly objective language of algorithms and big data and efficiency. And that makes it so much harder to spot and even harder to fight back against. Why? Because we're always told, hey, the computer made the decision. It's objective. This quote just nails the point perfectly. It's actually a reference to a TV show where a building's fancy new motion sensors only worked for white skin. And the solution they came up with, get this, they installed separate, manual water fountains just for the black employees. I mean, it's totally absurd, but it's such a sharp example of how this logic of a quick technical fix can end up recreating the exact same segregationist systems we all thought we left behind. Okay, so how does this new Jim Code actually show up in the real world? I mean, we're talking about more than just soap dispensers here. This stuff affects people's jobs, the justice system, you name it. It creates these huge systemic barriers that are actually pretty easy to miss if you're not looking for them. Well, check this out. There was a classic study where researchers sent out thousands of identical resumes. The only thing they changed was the name at the top. And the results were staggering. Applicants with names that sounded white got 50% more callbacks than those with black-sounding names. To put that in perspective, researchers figured out that gap is about the same as having 8 more years of work experience on your resume, just from a name. Okay, now just imagine feeding decades of that kind of biased hiring data into an AI that's built to screen resumes. The machine isn't going to correct our biases for us. No way. It learns them, it automates them, and then it scales them up, big time. And the whole time, it looks completely objective. Predictive policing is maybe one of the clearest examples of the new Jim Code in action. It creates this really dangerous, self-fulfilling prophecy, this feedback loop. Here's how it works. The algorithm tells police, hey, go to this neighborhood, based on historical data that's often already biased. So more cops go to those areas, and surprise, surprise, they make more arrests there. And that new arrest data then gets fed back into the system, which proves the algorithm was right all along. It's a completely closed loop, all justified by a mysterious black box algorithm. And you know what? This whole problem of a white default setting, it's not new. Not at all. It goes all the way back to the early days of photography. For decades, the actual chemistry in camera film was calibrated for white skin. They used these things called Shirley cards. So the result was that photos of black people often came out poorly defined, or sometimes they were basically invisible. The technology itself was just designed to fail anyone who didn't fit that default. So if technology is packed with our biases and is a huge part of the problem, can it also be part of the solution? Ruha Benjamin says yes, absolutely. But, and this is a big but, it means we have to think way beyond just fixing a few lines of bad code. It really demands a whole new radical approach. And what she means is this isn't about trying to make a broken system a little more inclusive by inviting more people in. No. It's about building new technologies from the ground up that are specifically designed to dismantle those unjust systems. We're talking about tools that are really aimed at liberation and justice. And this right here is a perfect example of what she calls an abolitionist tool. It all started with a simple tweet, which sparked the idea for a real app called Appolition. And this app doesn't just raise money for a good cause. It uses technology to directly push back against the cash bail system, a system that we know disproportionately hurts poor folks and minority communities. So in the end, Benjamin's work isn't just about pointing out what's wrong. It's really a powerful call to action. She's urging all of us to be more critical designers, to be more thoughtful users, and just to be more engaged citizens in how we shape this digital world that is, right now, actively shaping us. The code for our future is literally being written as we speak. So Benjamin's work forces us to ask a really tough question. Are we building tools for liberation, or are we just building more sophisticated, high-tech cages? It's a question for every single one of us to think about. So what do you think about the new gym code? Let us know your thoughts down below.